Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I started being abused sexually between the ages 4 and 5.
FLDS survivors.
Do you think that this abuse is still happening?
Yes, I do.
And why Warren Jeff's own nephew says he was banished by his family.
You've not heard from them for 9 years.
My mother. I had told her when she realized it was me, she hung up.
Who do you think is commanding your mother? Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
Today's going to be a changing day in your life.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. Well, today we're talking about a story that I have been deeply involved in for over 14 years, with an estimated 10,000 current members, one that I will continue to cover until the alleged abuse stops. Now, it's been more than a decade since the FLDS prophetic leader Warren Jeffs was captured. But despite being behind bars for life, the FLDS religious group is still active. According to reports, some FLDS men allegedly continue to take upwards of 20 wives. Some of them young girls. Young boys are still being excommunicated because they're seen as competition to even their own fathers. Take a look.
They marry at 13 and 14. By the time you're 25 and have any brains, you're saddled up with 5 or 6 kids. You're going to stay and take the abuse.
From the time you're born, you are taught not to think for yourself. The women are basically treated like property.
We're dealing with a situation where children are alleged to have been sexually abused by older men and allegedly forced to have babies as young as 14.
Warren Jeffs is the one that controls everybody. Everybody does what he says.
Most girls aren't able to read the hearts of men. That's why you turn to the prophet with your life.
All of us sitting around here are just saying, this is against the law. We actually asked Jay to go to Colorado City.
Is this a polygamous community?
Well, that's pretty well factual. It's been that way for a lot of years.
You think there's anything wrong with it?
I haven't seen anything wrong with it.
The girls, the two fawns, recently escaped a polygamous group where they were raised to believe outsiders were damned to hell. You guys are torn. I mean, it's like part of you misses your family, but part of you says, I don't ever want to go back there.
And to know I'm really going to go to hell.
In this world, the young boys could be cast away, allegedly because the young girls were to be married off to much older men.
Do you two believe that polygamy is a right and normal way?
You're talking about generation after generation that's raised to believe that this is the way.
The day we taped this show, Warren Jeffs, who's been on the FBI's 10 most wanted list since last May, was arrested. Well, with Warren Jeffs behind bars, his Texas compound was descended upon by authorities in a historic raid.
Texas police were armed to raid the FLDS compound after they received a call from a 16-year-old girl.
Hundreds of women and kids have been removed from a polygamous compound.
Child Protective Services has now taken temporary legal custody of 401 children.
Claims of rape and beatings of young girls at the hands of much older men.
Texas Rangers found a bed inside the temple. On that bed, they found disturbed linens and female hair.
The mothers of hundreds of children removed from a polygamous compound in Texas are begging that state's governor for help.
We need the children back in the custody of the parents while the state gets this mess cleaned up.
Well, I was in Texas when all of that went down, and it's just a helpless feeling because they're just out in the middle of nowhere. The resources are just not there. And the stories of those who escaped are just unthinkable, and they need to be told because these courageous survivors are an inspiration to anyone who has dealt with trauma in their lives. Now, Marilyn escaped the FLDS and claims that her sexual abuse, all in the name of God, began at just 4 years of age.
My life in the FLDS was horrific. My family was considered privileged among the community. Some of my sisters were married to Warren Jeff's brothers. I started being abused sexually between the ages 4 and 5. I was abused by family members, neighbors, and friends. Sometimes it would be one at a time, and sometimes it was in groups. One time, I was tied to an old-fashioned metal frame down in the basement of the shop. And terrible things happened that I was not in control of. I had a lot of bruises because I was held down so hard. Many times I was told this is what God wanted. And if you had been more obedient and more submissive, it wouldn't happen. I felt like a prisoner every minute, like every choice I made wasn't mine. One time, I told a family member no, that I was sick of it and I didn't want to do it today. And because of it, I almost died. He was very, very, very angry, and things happened that were terrifying. What was so terrible, I was not going through this all alone. There were many others who went through the same thing. Looking back, what was going on was horrifically sickening.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
And, you know, this is not easy to think about, and it's not easy to talk about. I'm aware of that. Do you think that this abuse that you endured is still happening inside the FLDS encampments?
Yes, I do.
Do you fear repercussions from them by you talking about it?
I do. You know, bringing my story to light, I have no idea what to expect.
Well, this religion, as practiced by this group, the FLDS, is a group that you say the elite men raping, molesting, abusing young girls is a matter of pride. It's like a notch in the belts. It's something that they brag about and strut around about. Is that a religion that you fear being ostracized from, or is that a perversion of a religion?
I know now that it is a perversion. I fear that I have lost what little connection I have with my family.
Because you fear they're still indoctrinated.
Yeah, I know that I still struggle sometimes.
You say that this is so stressful to you that you suffer from dissociative identity disorder.
I do. It's like I lose blocks of time. And then I suddenly become consciously aware again. And what happened between, I don't know.
And the most common one that you escape to or escape the situation from is an 8-year-old girl?
Yes, that one, and also a mother figure personality that I take on as well.
Do any of these different identities believe that the place for you to be is back inside the FLDS?
I don't believe so.
So there is some consistency that you're better off
Yes.
outside than inside.
And I think that is what's helped me to survive, in a way, out here.
Okay. I don't want to go through the details. I don't want to embarrass you with any of it. But you were treated horrifically at this time, and you realize that was an abuse of power. That was a perversion of religion, and not something that is good for you at any level, right?
Yes, I think on some level I always knew what was happening was wrong, know.
But you're powerless to do anything about it. You don't have the ability to choose
Exactly.
at that point.
And then you just do whatever it takes to get through it.
To survive.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break. From nearly being choked to death to being beaten with a broomstick, Marilyn claims the extreme physical abuse she endured just seemed normal because it happened to her, it happened to everyone around her, and having no contact with the outside world, there's nothing to compare it to. And that's really difficult to adjust to once you do get outside. We're going to talk about all that after the break.
If we did not do what we were told, we were beaten with a belt. It got intense. A family member dislocated one of my siblings' hips by kicking them.
Tomorrow, a mother.
She drove high on heroin with your child in the car.
Claims she's 6 months clean.
She slurs her words.
I've admitted that I made mistakes.
Do you feel safe with your child being with her like that?
Is her husband?
We are as much here to wake him up as we are his wife.
Being deceived?
I just want the truth. Are you sober for the last 6 months?
That's tomorrow. Then, on Thursday, a new extortion scheme.
The scammer claimed he was holding their daughter's hostage.
Plus, the real woman behind Dirty John.
He had threatened to put a bullet in your daughter's head.
That's Thursday.
Well, despite Warren Jeffs, who was supposedly the prophet in this religion, this organization, being sentenced to life in prison, there are still thousands devoted to this controversial religious group. I shrug my shoulders when I say that because I don't really feel right calling this a religious group because I think it's a perversion of religion. I don't think it's a religious group at all. Marilyn says that she was able to break free before the physical abuse she endured nearly killed her.
I was physically abused. Most of the time that I was in the FLDS, I thought that the physical abuse was pretty normal. That's how everybody grew up. If we did not do what we were told, we were beaten with a belt. If you didn't obey an order that was given, you would get the broomstick. I did try to be a good kid. A lot of that was out of fear so that I wouldn't be beaten. A family member who molested me was incredibly violent towards me. There was an incident when he almost choked me to death. There was a family member who threw me up against a brick wall. I was burned. I was cut. My shoulders dislocate to this day. My hips pop in and out all the time. As I got older, the religion did start to teach that a good amount of physical abuse was unnecessary. It came too late for me.
I've been involved in this for 14 years, and I've stood outside the gates where you were living. I've driven past the house where you were being held. I've talked to the people that represented this, and I didn't get you out of there. And I'm sorry for that. I feel like I failed you. I feel like we didn't do the things we needed to do to get you out of there. I mean, in 2003, I was in that community. I was raising hell in that community. I was putting it on television. We were calling the FBI. We were calling the police. We were challenging the mayor and the sheriff and pursuing Jeffs. We were turning information. We were doing everything in the world we can, but we didn't get there and get you out of there. And for that, I am and will forever be truly sorry. And I am so glad that you survived and are out of there now. And you should be really proud of the courage that you've shown and just proud of the fact that you can say, by God, I'm still here. I'm still here and I survived. And I hope you give yourself credit for that. Because you're functioning, you've gotten your GED, right?
I have gotten my GED. I'm also a licensed massage therapist, a cosmetologist, and a master esthetician.
Right. And how do you feel about that? Do you take a moment now and again to say, I did that?
I never imagined that I could be where I am in my life right now.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing.
You went through certain things, and there are boys that were in this world, and they were treated very differently than the girls, right?
Right. I think that the older men were threatened by the young men, and for that reason, anything that happened got them kicked out.
I've talked to so many of these young men. They've been referred to as the lost boys because there are times when they were seen as competition for the young girls. They would sometimes just be cast out, just be literally with the clothes on their back, be driven 100 miles out in the middle of nowhere and just dumped. I mean, it's just a bizarre reality that this is happening in America. And, you know, you saw the first tape piece. That was my son with the mayor talking about, yeah, everything's fine here, and you're coming here and talking about this, giving a voice to it, telling people what's going on, that this is still happening. And you think that this church may be more dangerous now that it's scattered than when it was all in one place, right?
I do, because they are dwindling in numbers due to the abuse and the spirituality and people not agreeing with how really dark it's getting. And so because their numbers are dwindling, they're desperate to keep a hold of anyone that they have.
We're going to add somebody. Warren Jeffs is his uncle. He says he was eventually excommunicated at 15, which is exactly what Marilyn was talking about, and hasn't spoken with his mother or father in 9 years. So we're going to add him to this discussion after the break.
When I was in the FLDS, they went to extreme lengths to brainwash me. Warren told me that I was never good enough. I felt like Warren saw younger men as a threat and potential competition for wives. My father is Warren Jeff's older brother. My father was the head patriarch of the church, a very esteemed title. My dad was in Warren Jeff's inner circle, and they were very close. When I was in the FLDS, they went to extreme lengths to brainwash me. Warren told me that I was never good enough, and if I didn't follow what he said, I would burn in eternal misery without my family. I felt like Warren saw younger men as a threat and potential competition for wives. In my mind, I felt absolutely disposable. Boys are used for child labor. We tend the farms, build houses, pretty much any physical labor they would use the boys. I ended up having to get surgery to repair a hernia. When I was 15 years old, I got kicked out of the community because I was talking with girls and sneaking out of the house to hang out with unapproved friends. At that point, my dad drove me up to Salt Lake and signed power of attorney rights over to a host family. Said goodbye, and that was it. Essentially, my dad threw me away. It was devastating for me. I have not seen or heard from my dad, my mom, and my sisters in 9 years.
Well, Ian, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I really do. And you've not heard from them for 9 years. Do you want to talk to them? Have you tried to talk to them?
So, the last conversation I had with my mother.
It's okay. Take your time and just talk through the tears. It's okay.
I had called her on numbers she didn't recognize. When she realized it was me, she says, I can't talk to you anymore. I was told that I couldn't talk to you anymore, and she hung up. Those were the last words I ever heard from her. And I was 13 years old. And growing up, because I was the only son from her, so I'd been bullied by my other brothers, so I was really close with her. And I had been torn away from her so many times. I was in these houses hiding. They wouldn't allow me to talk to her.
And how many siblings did you have?
From my dad's side, probably up to 50. My mother only had 4 kids, and then I have an older sister and a younger sister who are still a part of the church, to my knowledge.
But 50 from your father's side, and how many wives did he have?
He had up to 21 wives that I know of.
And who do you think is commanding your mother that she not allowed to talk to you anymore?
At the time, it was probably a directive of Warren.
And now that you're out and you're married, Jade is here, right? Hi, Jade. How are you? And you have a child.
I do.
How insane does that look to you, looking back on it now?
Well, as a father with a daughter, I could never imagine just turning my back on her and walking away.
So what kind of father and husband is Ian?
Words can't describe it. He is the best father and the most amazing husband ever. Like, he has never once yelled at me. He's never once cursed at me. He's not violent. The best father I've ever seen. Like, I cry tears of joy when I watch him with our daughter because he is so gentle with her.
So how'd you figure this out?
I just figured I would never treat somebody the way that I was treated and I saw other people treated.
Yeah.
And holding out help, which Tanya, she helped me, she put me in a host home.
Right.
They were a great example to me of how a family should be.
You bet. These host homes are nothing short of absolute miracles. And we're going to take a break and come back. Ian and Marilyn both say they were given a second chance at life because of one woman and her life-changing organization. We're going to meet her after the break.
This is one of our host homes.
They've provided a safe place for me.
When we get a child out, they're coming out here into mainstream society and learning how to navigate our world.
Well, imagine discovering everything your family instilled in you was a lie that allowed you to be abused and manipulated. And Tanya says that all of this is the harsh reality for hundreds of victims of the FLDS that she now helps transition back into society. Take a look.
Well, my husband and I volunteered to actually host a family who was transitioning out of polygamy. We were really shocked at the gravity of what they dealt with. I couldn't turn a blind eye after realizing all these people that were being kicked out of the FLDS or choosing to leave. This is one of our emergency shelters, so when someone comes out of polygamy, this is the very first place that they will actually land. We essentially provide the basic necessities of food, clothing, shelter, and safety. Once the basic needs are met, then we move on to education, job skills. This is one of our host homes, and you get to meet the heroes of this home. This is Tamara and Art. As you can see, they love Christmas, which is kind of ironic. All these gifts are for 6 of the children they've raised from polygamy.
We both very much believe in helping people be successful. So it was very natural for me and Art to take kids into our home and to give them a safe place.
I think the most important thing I can bring to the table is a good father figure.
I have been in this host home for 13 months. They've provided a safe place for me, a place where I feel loved and appreciated.
My goal is that we could get these clients to become self-sufficient, productive citizens here and just free of their past lives.
Tanya, I don't even know what to say. I should get you a special chair where we can put your wings on the outside here, because you gotta be some kind of angel with what you're doing. How did you start making these connections and finding these displaced young people?
We essentially started back in 2008 after we received an email from a pastor friend of ours just saying, would you open your home to be a safe house for people leaving polygamy? And for me, I was shocked, number one, that polygamy was happening in the United States of America. And then number two, what was happening, how they were using this platform, the so-called religion, the polygamy, to abuse men, women, and children in the name of God. And so we said yes and took in a family of 6, and it kind of rocked our world.
You actually started advertising by placing billboards in front of prominent polygamous family homes, right?
So we put one billboard right outside of one of the communities, one of the prominent communities, and we put another billboard right in the heart of where we knew all these businesses were. So that's how we got started. And now it's kind of word of mouth. We've taken those down, and everybody knows who we are. So.
Yeah. Well, they're going to now, for sure. And so the first year you helped how many?
About 30 people.
Okay, and so now you've helped how many total? Would you help?
Probably over 1,700 men, women, and children.
1,700. And Marilyn, you're actually with a host family now, right?
I am.
And
yes.
how's that helping you?
She's changed my life, and I would not be here without her or Tanya.
I have a little surprise for Marilyn. Her host family has a special message for her.
When she first came, she would sit in the dark in the couch with her hair hanging over her face.
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil, she claims she's 6 months clean.
She drove high on heroin with your child.
I admit that I have made mistakes.
I want the truth. Are you sober 6 months?
That's tomorrow.
Marilyn, you're the most brave person I know. She has grown so much. When she first came, she would sit in the dark in the couch with her hair hanging over her face. I was very worried that she was not going to choose to live. But now she is vibrantly alive and full of light, as you can all see. She came with a second-grade education, and she's now gone to school, and she is a cosmetologist and a master esthetician. My hope for her is that she is able to break free from her past. We love her so much.
Completely different experience, right?
Unconditional love can go a long way.
Yeah. You know, my son Jay and I, we've both been involved in tracking this and trying to expose it for a long time. He and I have started a company called Doctor on Demand, which is the premier telemedicine company in the country, if I do say so myself. You can go to the App Store, iTunes or Google Play, and you download the Doctor on Demand app, and then which is free, and then using that app, you can register and you can be in front of a face-to-face with a board-certified and licensed physician with an average wait time of about 2 minutes. We also have psychological services where you can make an appointment and be face-to-face with a doctor-level therapist to have sessions with on a scheduled basis. We would like to make Doctor on Demand both medical side and psychological side available to your organization for every single person that comes through your organization to help for you moving forward, okay? Thanks. All right. And listen, guys, we're going to have all this information up on drphil.com and all of our platforms so you can find out more about this great organization. God bless you for what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
All right, next, I'm going to share a rare glimpse into the private world of some of the most celebrated people in their fields. All that's after the break. We'll be right back.
I'm going to get really intimate here.
Kim Kardashian.
If she breaks wind in a public place, it's a major news event.
Why are you not tired?
I'll ask the questions around here, woman. Well, recently I've been spending time with some incredible men and women who are at the top of their fields. Now, from A-list actors to famous comedians and Hall of Fame athletes, the list is long and varied. Now, one thing they all have in common, well, they all allowed me to peek into their private lives. They shared their most intimate secrets and their embarrassing and defining moments. Now, before I tell you what they revealed, I want to play a little game. We'll call it Who Said What. So you have to pick up your little gadgets here. All right, we'll start with this one. Who claims their divorce got so nasty that his ex ripped the gazebo, foundation and all, out of the backyard and took it? Okay, I want you to choose between Emmett Smith, Dak Shepard, Cedric the Entertainer, Ron White, Jay Leno, or Steve Harvey. Okay, votes in. Okay, the majority of you think it was Steve Harvey. Really? Well, wrong. The answer is, well, take a look. How many times have you been married now?
I've only been married twice. I was married to my son's mother for 12 years. When we got a divorce, she got a dryer.
You got to wash her?
I got to wash her. And so the next woman, I was married to her for 3.5 years, no kids, and she got $4.25 million in cash. And
is she the one that took the gazebo?
She hired a cherry picker, yanked this thing out of the ground, and then she bought a house right around the corner, and then she had this cherry picker bouncing down the road with this gazebo and just plopped it down in her backyard.
I don't think I've ever seen you speechless.
Right? No, I'm rarely speechless.
My gazebo?
My gazebo?
Look, Ron's a comedian, so you never know with him how much of that's true and how much it's not. But if you want to hear more of Ron's outrageous stories, I'm proud to announce that you can go to my brand new podcast to find out. It actually launches today, and it's called Fill in the Blanks. That's P-H-I-L in the blanks. And I'm really excited about it because I get to talk to people that I really admire in a new and different way. All right, now here's another Who Said What from one of my podcast guests. Who once was crying so hard on the job that they couldn't work? Was it Emmett Smith, Dak Shepard, Cedric the Entertainer, Meta World Peace, Jay Leno, or Vivica Fox? You all vote for the woman. Well, in fact, it was Emmett Smith. Take a look at what happened after new coach Bill Parcells took over Emmett's football team, the Dallas Cowboys. Were you shocked when Parcells came in and...
No, I thought we needed someone like a Bill Parcells to shape the team and get us back on track.
But he did release you.
Yes, he did.
Were you surprised?
I felt like I was going to be a Dallas Cowboy for the rest of my life, which is what I wanted in the first place.
So you then go to the Arizona Cardinals and you signed a 2-year deal?
Yes, sir. Going to Arizona was a great thing for me because I was able to recognize that my time has come and gone.
What experience turned that light bulb on?
Coming back here to Dallas to play the Cowboys, riding in on a visitor's bus, getting dressed in the visitor's locker room, broke my heart to pieces. I felt out of place. I cried for 45 minutes. The tears just kept flowing. And I realized how much my love for the Dallas Cowboys and my ability to play at the level that I wanted to play at was so intertwined and inseparable.
You did have one more contract.
Yeah, I did sign a one-day contract.
For $1.
$1.
So you signed a one-day contract with the Cowboys and retired a Dallas Cowboy.
Yes, sir.
Emmett's a really good friend. Is he a class act or what? He is a great guy. All right, one last one. Which one of these hugely successful men was homeless and one phone call away from giving up and moving to his father's attic? Was it Emmett Smith, Dak Shepard, Cedric the Entertainer, Meta World Peace, Jay Leno, or Steve Harvey? Yeah, votes are changing. Well, you finally got one right. It was Steve Harvey. Take a look. Was there something that stuck out that changed the way you approached the game?
I was in a hotel. I was homeless, and I was washing up in the hotel. I used to like to go to, like, Ritz-Carltons and Four Seasons to wash up because they had them bathroom doors that went all the way to the ceiling and floor.
Yeah.
So it was private. They couldn't look up under there. And they had towels rolled up in baskets. So the way I would bathe is I would get the basket, run hot water under all the towels in the basket, take them in the stall, shut the door, and wash up. Then I wait, make sure nobody was out there. I go out there and get the other basket, run hot water under it, take them, then I rinse off. And that was my bath. One morning, man, a convention was in town, and I had got all of the washcloths under the hot water, and I took the soap and I was soaping up. And when I got soaked up, people just kept coming in. They just kept, and they never stopped. And the soap is starting to dry on me. And I let the toilet seat down, and I'm sitting on the lid, man, and I just started crying. I said, I can't take this no more. I'm gonna quit.
That was your turn back moment.
That was my turn back moment.
Wow. You will not believe what happened next that turned Steve's life around forever. You can listen to that and more revealing interviews on my podcast, which launches today. Next, find out the one thing Dax Shepard told me he is insecure about, what job Cedric the Entertainer had no business doing, and the career path Jay Leno's teachers suggested he should pursue. That's all after the break. We'll be right back.
Fill in the blanks. Available now.
Why are you not tired?
I'll ask the questions around here, woman.
In-depth conversations.
I'm going to get really intimate here.
With the world's most fascinating people.
We're just sitting here talking.
Let's make something magic.
You were afraid of dunking. Why?
Because I'm sensitive, and if I miss, everybody's going to laugh at me.
Can you turn his mic off?
Subscribe now at applepodcast.com/Dr. Phil.
As I said, today is the day that my podcast, Fill in the Blanks, launches. Recently, I've been talking to everyone from Hall of Fame athletes to A-list actors and comedians to the most innovative experts in their fields. But three people who had me laughing with their honesty were actor Dax Shepard and comedians Jay Leno and Cedric the Entertainer. Take a look. Do you have a big worry that haunts you?
The fears that I just circle, where's my rank? I'm a gorilla. Where am I compared to you? That I have to police nonstop. You'll think I'm stupid. I've got to prove that to you really quick.
No matter where you are.
Doesn't matter. I could be talking to a functionally disabled person thinking, I got to prove to this person I'm smart.
You graduated magna cum laude at UCLA.
Not enough.
Do you carry that? You could just pull it on your shirt and say,
I should have it tattooed on my arm.
You worked as an undercover security guard?
Oh, man.
What is that job? What do you do?
I was at Sears.
Right.
You look like a regular person. You look for people.
Well, what do you do when your friends come in and say, hook me up?
See, that's when you couldn't do that on those. That's not a job you do the hookup on because, you know, they're watching you, but, you know.
They're watching you.
Yeah, they're watching me. I did see a dude walk out with a lawnmower one time, and it was just so gangster that I just let him go. I mean, I was like, how bold are you gonna be? Like, he just walked up and walked behind the lawnmower,
pushed it out,
started walking out the store with it like it was like nothing. And I was like, this dude really?
You just let him go?
I probably got fired shortly after that.
Yeah.
Like
You don't have to work.
Well, I think everybody has to work. Even when I was in high school, I always had two jobs. I would bank one job, and I would live on the other job. As I said, I was a kid who was never a good student. When I was in school, the guidance counselor called my mother in and said, have you ever thought of taking Jay out of school? And my mother said, well, why would I do that? And he said, you know, education's not for everyone. And I said to him, hey, I'm in the room. Hello.
I'm right here.
He goes, Jay, you work at McDonald's, right? They have a program where they teach you how to make change. You go to Hamburg University. You know, I don't want to work at McDonald's the rest of my life because I was such a bad student. They just wanted to get me out of there.
A lot of these are my friends, and they're telling me stuff that they've never told me when we're just hanging out. And this podcast is free audio. And listen up, because here's how it works. On your iPhone or iPad, you click on this purple icon. You'll see it on your home screen. I mean, maybe you all know how to do this. I'm just telling you because I didn't know how to do it. It looks like a microphone and has the word podcast under it, which is clever. Click on it, and in order to find mine, go to where it says search, and then click on the little magnifying glass, and it will take you to the search engine and type in fill in the blanks. That's PHIL in the blanks. And then click search, and then my podcast comes up, and then you hit the button that says subscribe. Now, remember, it doesn't cost anything. After you subscribe, then every time a new episode posts, you will get... a notification so you don't miss out. And if you're on your computer, you go to applepodcast.com/Dr. Phil to hear a preview now, and make sure you subscribe to get your first full episode starting today. And you can also find more info about the podcast on drphilintheblanks.com. You saw guys today that were fun, but I'm also having experts on, like the head of neurosurgery from Cedars with all the breakthroughs that they have over there. I'm going to be doing some of my own guesting, talking about things that you need to do when your life's in crisis. I've got people on that are experts on interrogation and lie spotting, just all kinds of things. So I think you're going to find it interesting. I'm having fun doing it, I can tell you for sure. So anyway, subscribe, and I won't see you there, but you'll hear me there. Okay, I want to thank all of my guests today. We'll see you next time. Thanks.